student ID card. You'll all need a student ID card. You can request your ID card by selecting Order My ID card under the quick links section of campus. And you can see that there's a link there for students.flinders.edu.au campus. If we keep moving. Okay, new students. So for the new student section of the campus, so this is online, it has information on how to enrol and register in classes. And again, you locate that through the students.flinders.edu.au campus. If you do need any help, you can submit a support request via the flinders.edu.au, ask or call Flinders Connect. So there's a number there. Like I said, you'll have this afterwards. The other thing I just want to highlight is Ask Flinders. Are you all familiar with Ask Flinders or not yet? No. So Ask Flinders is, I like to think of it this way, think of a hospital system. Ask Flinders is like the immediate triage for Flinders. So it covers the entire university. Anytime that you email the Ask Flinders email address, it will go to a kind of central switchboard kind of team. And they basically navigate and direct it to whichever college or discipline the question's related to. And that might be to myself as course coordinator in the Bachelor of Social Work. It may be to a specific staff member in a topic or someone coordinating a particular topic. But Ask Flinders is your go-to. If you're in doubt, just contact Ask Flinders. If the Ask Flinders switchboard are not clear on the answer, they'll always come to us as course coordinators to get clarity, and then we can direct your query or question to the right teaching staff member. So planning your study. So before you jump into enrolling in topics and registering for classes, it's important you take a moment to understand your course requirements, and you can understand your course rule. So when you look up the Bachelor of Social Work on the Flinders Handbook online site, you can see all the details of the course overview, which I've got a couple of slides at the end that I'm just going to talk to. But it's important that you review your course study planner so you get familiar with what you're doing in the first year, each semester, and sort of the layout for questions. I was just going to say, if you have any questions as you move forward, though, you can email me directly as the course coordinator, and I'm happy to clarify anything for you if you're confused. Okay. So, and enrolling and registering. So, the first couple of steps to enrol in topics. So once you've had a look at your course plan, you can see that every single semester, semester 1 and 2 per year, there's always 4 topics if you're a full-time student. If you're deciding to do it part-time, you may only have 2 topics that you're doing per semester. If you're doing it in the middle, you might have 3 topics per semester. So it just depends on your study load and how long you're expecting to complete the Bachelor of Social Work in. So the Bachelor of Social Work full-time is a 4-year degree, but part-time people can do it over a longer period of time. And the longest period of time you can take to complete the degree is 10 years. So the key steps here, I guess, for you to enrol in topics within the degree is actually logging into the student system. So you'll learn about this, the student management system. You select the My Enrolment tab, and then you agree to the declaration. So you'll be prompted with a declaration. You scroll down to see the topics available for your course. So which topics are available in that semester period only. And just to be clear, there are prerequisites, so you won't be able to have access to year 2 topics. Everything is in sequential order. So you have to complete year 1 before you can move into year 2, year 3, year 4. So there won't be any confusion. You'll only have available what you are able to access as a year 1 student. Then you just place a tick next to the topics you want to enrol in and save the changes. Once you're in a topic, you then need to be able to register for classes. So you're enrolled in the topic, but then you need to attend tutorials, or you need to be attending lectures and other parts of each of the subject topics. So the way that you do that is the same. You log into the student management system, select the My Timetable tab, select the study period, select the change or register for each topic, and then you just click on the cross to select a class and select save. This will make far more sense once you look at it afterwards and you're actually on the system and you're looking at this alongside the system. You'll be able to sort of follow these steps. So each student has a unique student identifier called a USI. So from the 1st of January this year, all tertiary students must have a USI, and the new students applying for Commonwealth assistance will need to provide their USI on the Commonwealth assistance form, the CAF, to be able to receive financial help. So there's 2 prompts here. If you're not familiar with this, to check if you have a USI, you can visit the site that's listed there. Or if you do not have a USI and you know you don't, then you'll need to apply. Does anyone in here know if you have a USI? A couple of people do? You do? Okay, yep. All right. So getting familiar with your learning environment. All of the learning at Flinders is on a learner management system. Are people familiar with an LMS, learner management system? Not really? Okay, it basically just means that all of the topics within the degree are on what IT call learner management system. It's an LMS system. And every single topic is set up really similar. So all the topics are streamlined, a really consistent structure across all the topics. So for example, if you're enrolled in 3 topics in the first semester, all of those topics should look quite similar on this LMS system. So you'll be familiar with sort of the flow of how you locate information and the modules for each of the topics. Are people hot? I can see the fan going. Are you feeling a bit hot in here? I don't know if the aircon's actually, I presumed it was on because there was a previous lecture in here before. But Michelle will just have a check. We'll see if we can get it on. So in relation to Flinders, Flinders basically uses a learner management system. So whilst all the topics are online, you can be enrolled as an online student or an on-campus student. How many people in the room here are thinking that you'll be enrolled online? So that's kind of studying externally in a way where you would be engaged in tutorials in an online kind of forum, as opposed to if you enroll as an on-campus student, or I think it's Bedford Park in person they call it, that means that you would be engaging in your topics in tutorial rooms literally on campus, like in a room with people and just talking. So we have both options throughout all the topics in the degree. So whatever your preference is, you can pick either or. And there will be recordings in each of the topics of lectures. So each time any of your topic coordinators delivers a weekly lecture, that will be recorded. All of the on-campus students would be expected to be attending in the lecture theatre and physically be there. All the students enrolled in a topic online, you can just watch the pre-recording afterwards. Yes, I am. So we've got someone online who's there. I just need to go back, sorry. Yep, so just wrapping this slide up, there are actually 2 systems that Flinders is using in transition to. So the one system that we have been using for a very long time and still using as our online system is Flinders Learning Online. So Flow it's referred to as. But Flinders is also starting to move some topics into another system called Canvas. Very, very similar. It's going to have a very similar structure. In order for you to know, there's only a couple of topics this semester that have actually moved into Canvas, and it's only more in the year 1 of the Bachelor of Social Work and the year 1 of all the other equivalent degrees. So all of the degrees haven't yet transitioned to a different platform. There's kind of 2 platforms. The way for you to work out, I guess, which platform you're in, and if you're confused, you can talk to each other as peer students. I know that some people are more IT savvy than others and may walk out of here thinking, what does that actually mean? So talk to people who are familiar with this, but you can also have a look at which topic, like which LMS topic, which LMS site your topic is enrolled in. So it may be Canvas, it might be Flow. Highly likely in year 1 to be a combination of Flow and Canvas because it's the year 1 that's slowly transitioning into this new mode. So Flow has been our traditional standard online platform, but think of it this way with IT, it's like an iPhone, they keep advancing, they keep improving, they keep changing, I think every 6 months at the moment globally. So in relation to some of the online platforms, a decision's just been made that we'll move to a more upgraded platform, which is Canvas. But it's going to have a really similar, you're not going to be hugely impacted as students by this, it will have a really similar structure. So if you want to find out anything more about the intro to Flow, Canvas and any textbooks, you can join a session and you can find that on the orientation planner and the address that you can hyperlink there. What have we got? orientation.flinders.edu/au planner. And you can just locate anything there about Flow if you want to learn more about that. So transport, there's a lot of options here. So parking, you do need to pay for parking here at Flinders. you will need a parking permit, and you can apply at flinders.edu.au parking. There is the train as an access point for people, and then obviously there's buses that can then move. Are people familiar? There is a loop bus that goes around, which is free. It's within the campus. So if you're confused, it's a pretty big campus. So if we're usually in social sciences south, that's where our social work discipline's located, but a lot of the teaching areas, for example, this is in the law and commerce area, so our social work building is the next one over, but we do have tutorial rooms and lectures that happen in kind of different buildings and venues around the campus. If you're ever lost or confused or need to get to, the food hub or somewhere, there is a loop bus that keeps going around all the time and can move you around. I think there's a city loop bus in the CBD if people are familiar with that. It's a little bit like that here at Flinders, where it does keep moving around. It also loops between here and the Tonsley campus. So are people familiar that there is a Flinders campus down at Tonsley, sort of straight down over all of the highways and the underpasses and the new road structures? Somewhere around the corner, as you turn around, there's a campus there called Tonsley, which is a Flinders campus as well. And the loop bus can take you there. There's a lot of technology and different programs that run from there. It's worth visiting if you wanted to have a look, if you're interested, because it actually is a really high-tech campus for those of you who are interested in high-tech, and a lot of innovative sort of not social work focused, but a lot of other major innovations that are coming from that space if you're interested. Got a couple of questions online.
This is just me adding stuff and just saying that I think it's possible to park for free at Tonsley. So if you are driving, I think you can park for free at Tonsley and catch the loop bus up to Bedford Park, which might be a much cheaper way of doing it rather than. And if you do park here if you're planning on parking at Bedford Park campus, give yourself a fair amount of time to find a park. And once you've found a park, making sure that you can find your way to where you actually need to go. That's because it's, a pretty big campus in that way.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Okay, so there is a $3 million in scholarships, $3 million in scholarships that are up for grabs at the moment. So just to let you know about this, there's 400 scholarships in total, and there's values between 1 million and 1,000 and 20,000 per year to be given away based on financial need or academic merit. So everyone's eligible to apply. Applications do close on the 8th of March, so you've still got time if you wanted to consider putting an application in and see if you can succeed. And we have been told that it only takes 5 minutes to apply, so it's not hugely complicated. We rely on that advice because I'm not going in to apply for myself, obviously, so I don't know. But I hope for all of you it is a really simple process if you're interested. But for more information, if you are keen to look at being eligible for financial scholarship, you can join the link here, students.flinders.edu.au scholarships. Just click on that hyperlink and it will take you straight to the site with an application that you can fill out. So in terms of safety, look, I would have to say I've been at Flinders for 3 years and I think it's quite a safe campus, but I do want to really highlight for you that if you do experience or witness any unacceptable behaviour or harassment on campus, in the courtyard, in any area that you're in tutorial groups, in your actual sessions in the classroom, you do need to make a confidential report. It's always advisable to let a topic coordinator know if you're concerned about bullying or harassment in any of the classroom settings. That could be online or on campus if there's any inappropriate behaviours that you feel are really quite either unsafe or making people feel that they're being discriminated against or excluded in any way. So you can actually have a look at a couple of links here online. You can search for safety on campus at Flinders. If you do want to make a confidential report, there is an email. You can email directly, the email address, or there is a phone number if you want to phone someone directly and actually talk it through. And just remember that making a report doesn't result in a formalised complaint that's going to actually then result in additional actions, but it is the first step for you to be able to offer confidential, to receive confidential support and information from others about what you might need to do next if you decide to. So it's like an information discussion really about next steps. Health counselling and disability services, we have a really, really good Again, it's quite a long way from here. It's way past kind of the duck pond and you wander all the way past the hub, but there is a health counselling and disability service down there. There are, for example, doctors or nurses that you can see. You can talk with a counsellor. There's private counselling sessions, so there's trained counsellors that work in that area. You can also talk with a disability advisor for anyone that may have a disability, and you can talk to them about studying with either health. So disability isn't always physically health, it might be, or physical, it might actually be mental health or actually managing multiple things that are happening in your life and feeling a level of overwhelm. That's where that support service also do help people if they're struggling in their personal life and also trying to manage completing tertiary education. They're a fantastic team. It's all confidential. They're very sensitive. So I do meet with them. Michelle's also met with them. Highly qualified counsellors, and you can meet with someone if you want to talk things through. There's also access to self-help resources, and I just want to highlight it's strongly recommended that if you do have any kind of disability, whether it be physical, whether it's emotional, mental health, or any category at all, where you do feel or believe that it may impact on your ability to engage in or at times need extra support in relation to your studies, then it's really important that you do develop an access plan. So we call it a disability access plan, and it basically just means that for me as course coordinator, I'd be familiar that there is one, and equally topic coordinators in your topics then know that you have certain conditions where you might need additional support. So that then when it does come to assessments in topics, it may be that you need additional time sometimes to prepare, or if your mental health is impacted by the stress of deadlines and timelines, it's just always better to be preventative and have that plan in place so people do know beforehand and can then meet your needs and be able to support you if anything comes up. So there's the contact numbers that you can contact there. Oasis. So Oasis is located in this Bedford Park campus. It's a student community wellbeing centre, and it's focused on supporting the physical, emotional, social and spiritual needs of students so they can achieve academic and personal success. And we call it wellbeing for success. So there's a lot of different prompts which you can see there. You can have conversations in groups. They do have group sessions. They also have volunteer programs that they run. They have mental health, mental fitness workshops. They have a chaplain there. They have different, because they do facilitate a range of sessions, but they also have a chapel there and different sort of religious prayer rooms for people depending on their prayer. We have a high number of international students and students that might have a range of different preferences around their religious beliefs. So this is like a support area where people can go if they do need time in a peaceful kind of prayer space. But there's also mindfulness yoga. They do run mindfulness programs. I think there's one coming up in March. They ran one last year, a 16-week program. And it's, my understanding is it is free. It was last year, so it should be again. But mindfulness, where people came along for 2 hours once a week, and then they just engaged in different strategies of engaging in mindfulness and different tips and strategies, I guess, for supporting you alongside your academic studies as well. Forest walks. So you may have seen directly kind of over the road, there is sort of like a big forest space. And so that big, don't worry about it, that big
happens all the time.
The big forest space, which is directly kind of over the back road, but as you come up this particular road, and I'm talking this road meaning outside the building, on the road up to the car park, there's a massive sort of forest area. And they do walks there, but they also do other forest walks in other locations. So that's again all about people who want to be involved in nature walks, connect with other students, connect with other community peer students here at Flinders. There is different midday meditations as well. So I won't go on too much, but I think it's great and it's worthwhile just visiting Oasis and seeing what they have coming up. For me as a course coordinator, there is a central Bachelor of Social Work flow site, which is the online LMS site that I was referring to, where I will put announcements out for all students engaged and enrolled in the Bachelor of Social Work. So that will be students, like I said, they could be studying anywhere up to 10 years. They may have started 4 years ago, 5 years ago, this year. So we have a massive spectrum of students involved in that. In the Bachelor of Social Work as well, we do have a really high rate of, I would say, variety of students that come through. We have students that come through straight from high school. We have mature age students. We have students in between. We have some students who have spent 10 to 20 to 15 years in the industry working, and they may have worked in a youth work role or another kind of role, and they've decided that they want to come in and formally complete their degree in social work. There's actually a massive matrix of different students involved in the degree, which I think makes it really interesting when it comes to seminars and tutorials and learning, because there's a lot of different variety within the Bachelor of Social Work. And so Flinders actively promotes awareness of and respect for the diversity of our staff and students, and some of the services obviously include, like I just highlighted at Oasis, the prayer room, conversation groups, equal opportunity advisors, so there are equal opportunity advisors there, Pride Network and Good Vibes Experiment. And you can visit that link if you want more information. So making the most of orientation. So some important dates for you to be aware of. O Week is what we're in now. So from the 20th of February to the 24th of February this week. And then finding your way at Flinders. So logging into Flow or Canvas. So I talked about those two different LMS systems. Search for finding your way at Flinders. So there is a specific link to kind of help you as very new people here at Flinders. And there is an online orientation topic that's been set up onto that site for you to navigate and have a look through. So you can get familiar through that site with Flinders and how university works, explore some of the skills you'll need, discover tricks and shortcuts to help you study, find out about the support services at Flinders and watch the videos. I mean, these slides have already covered a number of those support services, but naturally, if you watch this, you can find out more detail about that as well. Unify. So Unify is our student connection program that has been designed to offer fun, interactive sessions to meet your peers, form friendships and develop your confidence. And you'll be able to find out more about that in that Flinders orientation link if you're interested. So help is available. Now, Connect Week is the following week. So that is starting next Monday from the 27th to the 3rd of March. So this is O Week, and then next week is what we call Connect Week. So in Connect Week, what's going on? Okay, so we have a welcome at the hub. There's the Unify, which again, if you go to the link from a couple of slides back around looking at how to connect on campus, and with Flinders, you'll find more detail. There's a quiz night, comedy shows, there's fair days, picnic games, meditation and conversation, live music and clubs info. I don't know all the ins and outs of all of that. I'm a course coordinator and that keeps me busy enough, but all of the people that are involved in coordinating all of this, please go to the flinders.edu.au orientation and then you'll find all of the details if you're interested in any of these activities. Okay, we've got someone else joining. So in terms of the Bachelor of Social Work, I've just introduced myself before. So I'm the course coordinator in the Bachelor of Social Work and I'm a lecturer and teaching specialist in social work. My background is I joined Flinders 3 years ago, and prior to that I worked in the Department for Child Protection for 17 years, and prior to that I worked in other areas relating to therapy and counselling. So that's my background, and I'll just get Michelle to introduce herself.
I've just taken my shoes off, sorry. It's probably not a good time to say. I'm an associate professor in social work here at Flinders. I've been here for about 5 years. Before coming here, I worked for the Department of Health evaluating their childhood obesity prevention programs, and worked in a number of roles for the Department of Health. Worked for Yarra Place as a social worker, that's Rape and Sexual Assault Service. Worked at Pregnancy Advisory Service, so unplanned pregnancy counselling and advice. And I also worked for Correctional Services for a period of time, evaluating their sex offender and Aboriginal treatment programs. So we take that background and use that to inform my teaching. And I also do some research in a variety of different areas as well. And that comes through my teaching too. So you learn a variety of things from a whole wide range of, in fact, all the teaching team has very diverse backgrounds. There's a couple from child protection, a couple from corrections, but otherwise it is a really diverse group of people that you're going to have on staff.
Yep. And myself as a teaching specialist, there's a number of us who are teaching specialist clinical practitioners. So as part of our roles, we've come from significant backgrounds in industry. And some of the key, I guess, deliverables for the university in the strategic agenda 2025, you may or not, your eyes might be glazing over at this point, you may or may not be familiar with it, but it's about having career-ready graduates. So it's not just about, learning the academic side of it and then kind of finishing your degree and not having that relatability. You will have placements, which we'll go into in a minute, field education, but particularly for us and myself and other colleagues as teaching specialists in our specific roles, we also have that relatability to currency in the industry and connection to ongoing industry partners and connections to those industry partners as we move forward. But I'll talk more about that when we get to field education. So I just want to start firstly with the definition of social work. So everyone in the room here is interested in doing social work. So the Australian Association of Social Work, this is a definition of what social work is. Social work is a practice-based profession and an academic discipline that promotes social change and development, social cohesion and empowerment, and the empowerment and liberation of people. Principles of social justice, human rights, collective responsibility, and respect for diversities are central to social work. Underpinned by theories of social work, social sciences, humanities, and Indigenous knowledge, social work engages people and structures to address life challenges and enhance well-being. And I just want to do a bit of a prompt while I'm on that definition here, and just anyone who feels comfortable in the room calling out, would you like to just share with the group what has motivated you to want to become a social worker? Yep.
My mum was a social worker.
Yep.
Yeah, she actually worked in the health council.
Oh, right, here at Flinders. Okay, great. And so I guess following in the lineage then of your family profession, is there anything that you feel passionate about in relation to what social work stands for in society?
I just want to be a person who helps when no one else has.
Yep. So you're interested in bringing that helping element to, and that's really good. That's a really strong sort of service orientated view to have, which is what social workers need to be. Remembering that empowerment is not always doing it for people, and you'll learn more of this as you go through the degree. It's empowering people to be able to do it themselves as well, so that you're not taking over and then when you walk away, they're helpless and can't function. So empowerment's a really critical part of it. But thank you so much for that. Does anyone else want to share what has caught your interest in wanting to be a social worker?
Yep. Yeah, I studied education about 5 years ago. I worked with Baptist Care. Doing like programs that fund young people about education program.
Yep.
So working there, working alongside other social workers.
Yeah, excellent, good to hear. And Baptist Care is one of the non-government agency sectors that Department for Child Protection also work with around a number of children who are currently under guardianship of the Minister. So currently in foster care. Thank you. Does anyone else want to share? Yep. Sorry, you currently work where? At an OSH. Is that out of school hours care? I'm trying to connect the acronym. Yeah. Yep. So the kids that are in the out of school hours care, are they like vulnerable children, or they're just there because their parents are finishing work late and need to pick them up a bit later? Both? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so both of you really have had some of that exposure to that vulnerability of saying, yeah, I'm deeply passionate about child protection, which is why I worked there for 17 years and believe in kids' rights and safety. Yeah.
My previous career was working as pharmacy tech in hospital. So obviously social working was admin, but also lots of variations in patients. So I kind of got a little bit of interest in it through that exposure. I was kind of already, I guess, assisting patients with medicine collaborative way to look at a career path. That is something that's kind of happening in my life.
Excellent. So all of you are kind of having the current exposure to things that have prompted you to be, or to want to move into social work, and having that exposure in the current work environments. Does anyone else want to say anything before we move on? Someone online. Is it people online sharing why they want to do social work?
Yes, Kayla has just said, I want to help empower and give a voice to people who might have had theirs taken away from them. So looking at vulnerable populations. Thanks, Kayla.
And that's one of the key things I think is and you'll learn this as you move through, is that social work, it's about, helping to support social change in whatever context you go into. It's a massive profession. So child protection is my specialty, but that's one aspect. There's the area of disability, there's community development work, there's hospital-based social work, there's counselling and therapeutic areas. Are people here familiar with child and adolescent mental health services? It's a specific kind of, I worked there once back in the day before child protection, but it specialises in, I guess, therapeutic sessions for particularly adolescent kids that come through, and family therapy focus. But social work is incredibly broad. And as we go through, I'll talk a bit about field education, because that's where in the degree you'll get exposure to some placements in the industry. So just to sort of bring a bit of an overview here of the Bachelor of Social Work, it's a 144-unit undergraduate program. It's taught over a 4-year period if you're enrolled full-time. If not, the maximum time to complete is 10 years. We can tailor study plans to meet your personal needs. So I work closely with the enrolment and course advisor, and then if she gets feedback from you about you needing to scale back on topics, then we look at what can be adjusted in your schedule to make sure that you're still on trajectory to be passing through the topic through the degree as soon as possible. But at the same time, just remember that if you're not doing it full time, it means that obviously you're not going to be finished in 4 years. So you may be finished in 6 years, 7 years, depending on what works for you, but it's about supporting you alongside that. We're very aware of the current scenario in society, really, the increased cost of living, of petrol, of a whole range of cost factors that are going on for people. And so in relation to that, particularly this year, the university is very focused on that and making sure that we are tailoring, what you need in your course plan to actually support you. So if you can only do a couple of topics because you have work that you need to complete to meet the needs of all of your personal bills and payments, then that's what you just need to negotiate, and then we can work with you on that. That's fine. So the mode of delivery within the degree is in person, online. So some of you are enrolled online, others enrolled in person. And there's also placements, so field education placements within the degree, and intensives. So the Bachelor of Social Work is accredited by the Australian Association of Social Workers, and graduates are eligible for membership with the Australian Association of Social Workers, which we refer to as the ASAW. So in terms of the program of study, the first year in the degree, there's a high number of foundational knowledge-based topics that are taught across other colleges. And it's really important to highlight this. It doesn't mean that you're not in social work when you're in first year. It just means that there's a lot of topics that you need to gain an understanding of within a bachelor degree of other foundational topics that relate to foundational knowledge you need to have to keep moving. And so some of those topics are taught in the sociology area, psychology, health, Indigenous studies, democracy and government. And there are two topics in the first year. There's Introduction to Social Work, and there is also Interpersonal Skills, which is taught in the first year, and they are specific social work topics. In the second year, all of our topics are taught within the social work discipline. So they are core social work topics, and that includes social policy, groups and communities, social work theories, practicing social work, and there's a high volume of skill-based topics in that second year. And completion of these 2 years, depending on how your grades are progressing, you could be eligible for applying for the Bachelor of Social Work Honours program. And in third year,
I'll do that.
Okay. In the third year, that's where you do your very first field education placement. So the field education placement is basically where you go out for 500 hours into an industry setting, and usually, and I'm a topic coordinator in one of the Bachelor of Social Work final field education placement topics, students basically complete 500 hours. You can do it part-time, again, to accommodate the needs of people who might need to work alongside placement and can't just be out there 4 or 5 days. So the part-time basis, we have students out on placement 3 days a week is kind of the minimum part-time. And the reason for that is otherwise it just takes a whole period of time beyond the normal mid-semester period, and it will just go on for too long. So we do need to contain it, and the minimum amount we look at is about 3 days a week. People can do it full-time. I have a couple of students who are doing it 5 times. They've said to me, I just want to, their words, I want to smash through this, Rebecca, and get this over and done with, because I just want to get out there and graduate. So there's some students that are really motivated to get through it quickly. Other students may, standardly full-time, we would say is 4 days a week in a placement. So you can have a think about when the time comes, what works for you. It's not immediate, it's a few years down the track yet. But in relation to, you'll do your final first field education placement topic in year 3, and there's several other skill-based topics alongside placement that you also do within that year, and that includes professional judgment and decision-making, which really supports you in your learning for field placement, because that's about professional judgment and decision-making, which is required when you're out in the industry and you're actually conducting casework and you're shadowing staff in live practice. So the topics are designed to sit alongside what you'd need to be mirroring in your actual industry practice. You can't obviously be heading out to placement without understanding what professional judgment and decision-making and ethical decision-making looks like, because we have a duty of care. Even though you would be supervised by an industry supervisor, there is an expectation from our industry supervisors that students are educated before they go out and understand these things. And then there's another topic, children and families' wellbeing and protection. They're just some examples. There's a couple of other topics as well. But in 4th year is where you complete your final field education placement topic. So that's that final skill-based industry application. I'm the topic coordinator for the final field education placement topic. And I just want to highlight there's some exciting new topics that are commencing this year and next year. So we've got decolonising social work, which is a new topic that started in semester 2 last year. So this is its 2nd time running. Also in year 4, which is quite a long way down the tunnel for all of you here at this point, but this is a futuristic conversation for all of you. This will be available to current year 3 students in the degree who move into 4th year next year. These will be brand new topics for them, and equally for all of you in potentially 4 years' time, these will be topics for you, depending on how quickly you move through the degree. But there's one topic called advanced social work theories. There's also another topic called violence and abuse and sustainable social work. So sustainable social work isn't just about a green focus, but it does have an element of that around climate, but it also has an element of understanding about technological changes and a whole range of sustainable practices, resilience as a social worker, dealing with your ability to actually be able to sustain yourself within the profession, but also different tools that sit within that as well. Critical to have that topic in there alongside the final placement topic, so that then you're prepared for your final placement. And if you want to find anything specific about either the BSW program or the BSW Honours program, which again, like I said, after year 2, if your grades are going really well, you have eligibility, you can follow the links there and get more detail. I just want to quickly highlight the graduate attributes for social work. So there's 8 core graduate attributes defined by the Australian Association of Social Work. The first one is about practicing in accordance with the Australian Association of Social Work Code of Ethics and managing ethical dilemmas. These are about human ethical dilemmas. So where you would manage an ethical dilemma with a client or in a practice setting. This is measured and assessed when you're in your field education placement setting. Be professional and represent social work profession with integrity. Work inclusively, respectfully, and be responsive to cultural diversity, including working with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Understand how systems, knowledge, including theories and research, influence different areas of practice. And also an ability to assess needs, implement a range of social work methods, and be able to think critically. So a lot of that is relating to assessment work, intervention work, how you would actually manage and interaction in a practice setting with a client. And again, like I said, all of these are really measured and assessed in field education, but the entire degree is developed with curriculum surrounding these areas that you'll learn behind the scenes before you head out into your first field education setting. So I have the ability to work within a team and communicate with a diverse range of people, manage and record information appropriately in accordance with ethical and legislative principles, and actively participate in supervision and professional development. And so some core expectations, it's a very brief summary for you, but we do have inherent requirements within the Bachelor of Social Work. So please refer to the Bachelor of Social Work Flinders Handbook online, and you can download a copy of the inherent requirements. There's just a breakdown of the kind of core traits that are required in terms of moving forward with the degree. Obviously, topic participation requirements, that's on the topic learner management system that we've talked about. That's either Flow, which is pretty much our central system, or Canvas. We also have the Charter on Professional Conduct for Student Social Workers, so please have a read through that. And just to be aware, and I'm flagging this with you early, even though this would be year 3 and potentially further along for some of you, but you can receive recognition of prior learning for your first field education placement in the degree. The reason I'm highlighting this is that all other years we've had students who have come with significant backgrounds in relatable industry areas, not technically social work. That's why someone's here to complete their degree in social work. But for example, someone may have worked for 6 years in a youth work or in corrections in a different capacity for a number of years, and there's some relatability to social work. Those students are eligible to apply for recognition for prior learning. And it's basically recognition that you have industry practice to the standards required of what a first placement topic would expect you to pass in. Janine Harrison, who's going to be covering field education, I believe she's coming in to present after this, is going to be talking about field education and what that looks like. And she'll go into more detail about that. Okay, sorry. Yep, so just to highlight again, we've seen the graduate attributes, the core Australian Association of Social Work practice standards, which relate specifically to the ones I just spoke to before, values and ethics, professionalism, culturally responsive and inclusive practice, knowledge for practice, apply knowledge to practice, which really hits the platform in industry practice. That's where you're out there in whatever setting you're in. And I want to highlight that both of your 500-hour placements are going to be in totally different settings. So you can't be in the same setting. You couldn't have your first placement in a hospital and your second placement in the downstairs section of the hospital. So you'd need to have a placement in a hospital and then a placement in corrections or a placement in child protection, like totally different fields. So the ASAW are not looking at you as coming out, on a conveyor belt, so to speak, is like this is the output of social work. Social work is very broad, and the view is that you would learn across 2 different industry settings to understand the vastness and broadness of social work to graduate as a professional. So the other key ones here are about communication and did I do that one? Yeah, communication and interpersonal skills, information recording and sharing, and professional development and supervision. Okay, does anyone have any questions? I think we're nearly over time, but just want to see if anyone has any questions online or in the room. Yep. This is always the question. Can I determine where I'm going? So when it comes to placement, currently as it stands, and I'm really cautious how I answer this purely because this potentially for you would be 3 years away. So right now as it stands, students through the Work Integrated Learning team, they do get to actually nominate through a student survey their preferential list of their preferred areas. What it comes down to is how many hundreds of students. So every single year, like currently we have a combination of Bachelor of Social Work and Masters of Social Work students who all need to be placed. They've only just been placed and started last week in all of the industry settings. So we can have anywhere up to 350 to 500 students per semester to place with industry partners. That's in South Australia as well as interstate. So we have a lot of interstate placements as well. So the short answer to that is currently as the process stands, you can actually go into a student survey and actually put kind of your preferred list. Other things that they do ask you to document and let them know about would be any specific requirements. So it's not what I spoke about for the first couple of years in the degree about developing an access plan if you do need one, but this is more about conditions for placement matching. Are there specific conditions that they need to be aware of? Is there a mobility issue that they need to be aware of? Is there a particular area where you feel you may be triggered and you don't want to work there? Sometimes students say, I don't want to work in domestic violence. They may have had a history of someone connected to them or personally been involved in something relating to that. They're very upfront with me, with the placement team, and say, I just don't want to go there. It's not where I want to graduate and ever work. It's too traumatizing for me. And it's really important to be self-aware and just know those triggers and just be clear about what is for you and what isn't, rather than head into a placement, go somewhere and then have it go horribly wrong, which we sometimes do see. And then students are terminated from placements because they're not coping in tears, and it's a real challenge. So where you'll be able to self-determine some of this is putting in your preferences around potential areas. They won't say agencies, but you can say, look, I'm interested in working with children and young people. I'm interested in hospital or healthcare areas. So that's where they can then streamline. And keep in mind, there are hundreds of students to place every semester. So it's a matter of how many industry partners have certain needs to match certain students. The other thing, because of the cost of living side of it, which we're really sensitive about at the moment, is try and make sure, which we've done this semester, try to make sure as much as possible, based on how many options of placements there are, to not have someone living in the north in a placement in the south, and the petrol costs involved in that. So just logistical, practical things like that. Yeah. Yep.
Do you have any advice about how to determine what field of social work you're going to do? This is so broad. There's just a lot of information to take in. So really tips.
Yeah, I think the key tip I'd give to all of you, depending on like whether you already have something fixed in your mind or not, but for anyone that's coming in as pretty much a blank canvas with just a passion to be of service, believe in social justice and all the core principles of social work, as you're going through your first year, just start to, I guess, develop an understanding about the things that you're starting to feel the most passionate about. I would recommend that the key area that you are going to succeed in your profession, moving past placement into graduation and then working, is what your heart's connected to, what you're passionate about. When you're passionate about something, no matter how challenging it is, you're pretty fixed on your purpose. And so some key things, you hear people say another day, another dollar, and these kind of acronyms about people who are very demoralised in their work, because that's a depressing saying. That if you're feeling like that, I mean, it's pretty humdrum for clients, for you, for everyone involved, if someone's that down. So it's always about self-reflection as well, and identifying with what's connecting with you and what really isn't interesting you. And you kind of know, look, that's a really purposeful area, but it's not something that's really gelling with me and I'm not really that interested. Then you would be doing yourself and future clients a disservice following that path if you know that your heart's not in it. So connect with what you're passionate about.
The bottom line is, though, it is a generalist degree, so we do prepare you to work in a number of fields of practice, and to be quite pragmatic, sometimes it comes down to where the jobs are available once you finish your degree. And so we do prepare you to work in any particular field, and it depends how long you can support yourself to wait for the perfect job that you want at the end of the degree.
Yep, but some preparatory tips, I'm always focused on the preparatory tips, is connect with what interests you. And then obviously you may not post-graduation find yourself in that job, as Michelle's highlighting, in year one. You may be moving down a different path with your eye on where you want to go and are waiting for vacancies to come up so that you can get onto the career path you want to go onto.
And sometimes topics will, in their assessments, provide, for example, 2 case studies and allow you to choose one that fits slightly more closer with your interest area. And so there is some flexibility throughout the degree to help you provide some choice around how you want to guide your interests in that sense as well. I wanted to add that this is the lecture theatre for Introduction to Social Work. Hands up, who's doing Intro to Social Work? You will see me here next Tuesday at 11 a.m. if you're going to do it in the face-to-face session. And then if you haven't already, please sign up to tutorials. There's some run on the Tuesday and now I think one on Wednesday and one on Thursday as well. So make sure that you're signed up and yeah, look forward to meeting you and talking a little bit more about social work then. Any more questions? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut that off. Yeah.
Yep.
We're studying online.
Yes.
Can we say the lectures, we just watch it recorded after the lectures in here and then we'll watch that when that's done later in the day?
Yes. Yep. And so in terms of the online, some online topics actually have set tutorials for online students. Others don't. And so there is a range of different ways that those online topics are offered. So have a read of the topic site. If you have any questions or you're not clear, send an email to the topic coordinator so that you can just clarify exactly what offering and what those expectations are. But for Introduction to Social Work, there's a whole series of online activities. It's what's called asynchronous, which means that you can complete that topic without having to come onto campus fully. We do have 4 skills topics which require your full attendance. And so there are topics that you must come on campus for. And so there is a blend of those. And that's a requirement of the Australian Association of Social Workers that we include those skills topics. Obviously, we are a practice-based profession. And so we need you to demonstrate that you're going to be able to work face-to-face with people to be able to be a social worker.
Yep. And just in relation to those tutorials, if a topic is set up with tutorials online, the 2 different options currently that are happening with how they'll run is either on Collaborate. Are people familiar with Collaborate? Collaborate is just an online, it basically will mean that it's live, meaning when you log into Collaborate, and you'll get your instructions on your topic flow site, but it's either live, meaning you'd log into Collaborate, there'd be a session set up by a topic coordinator, everyone online would join that, and it would be a live session with your topic coordinator or tutor or whoever it may be, talking with everyone at the same time as a live session. Or we use discussion forums, which is a setup where it's not in real time. So you'd have a period of time where you can then respond to the question online and engage with responses and chats with other students. But you can do that independently within a certain window of time frame of when you need to submit or put in your response. So one's immediately in a certain hour session and one is just within a certain time frame online.
Hands up those of you who have logged into Flow already. Terrific, that's great. That's the first step, all right, is to get into your online. And I also recommend at this point going through all of your topics online and looking at your assessments. So you should have, most of them should have an assessment section where you can go in and have a look at what's required. But there also should be a topic information booklet. And downloading that topic information booklet to have a look at what the expectations are week by week. And so there's reading requirements, there's a whole series of potentially activities, or you'll attend a face-to-face tutorial potentially as well.
Yeah. Are there any last questions before we wrap up? Yep. You can get textbooks, or you can go to, on Flow, there'll always be a library which has all online resources and hyperlinks, and you can actually locate and download articles and readings within that. If people prefer, you can go to the library and there might be alternate textbooks that are recommended in different topics by your topic coordinator, but there is an online, and as you go down the flow site for those who have, but those who haven't, you'll just see that there's, as you go through, like a module with additional topic information, and there'll be like a little tab for readings. When you click on readings, it will just drop down with all of the reading options that are available, and you can literally click through and find the articles there.
In Introduction to Social Work, we do have a recommended text. It's also available as an online book in the library, which you'll have access to. I do recommend, if you're wanting to stick with social work, that you do think about investing in a professional library. And the Introduction to Social Work book is one of those that I think is a really good investment in terms of thinking about that professional library. It's one that even our 4th year students go back to look at. So it's a really good sort of grounding one. Entirely up to you though, and managing your finances, because accessing the ones in the library is a fantastic option as well.
Yep.
And they also have lots of earlier versions of the same book, which haven't changed too much either, which is another option. Or secondhand, buying secondhand ones.
Any other questions? Okay, well, spend your time having a look through, you'll see this afterwards, but you can look through the different hyperlinks to locate additional information. Engage in the Connect Week next week and other activities going in here in O Week. Wander down to Oasis and have a look if you're keen on just understanding what they have. In the Connect Week next week, there'll be obviously those activities like we highlighted, and you can find more details about that if you want to get out and actually enjoy some activities and some fun. But for those of you who want to get into the studious side of it, I would recommend, like Michelle's highlighted, get into flow, start to navigate, get familiar with the structure. The structure's identical from topic to topic. You shouldn't see massive variance. So once you actually do start to feel confident about how you navigate a flow site and look at where headings are located, it's the same format each topic site. It's just that some topic sites may have additional modules and more modules in another topic, that's all. But you'll see a really similar correlation of how it's laid out. And that just kind of helps with that familiarity, not feeling like you're flipping in and out of different versions of people being creative. We have standardised sites.
There's also a Bachelor of Social Work flow site as well, and so that has course level information. We often advertise jobs there when you're later in your degree, or advise you of activities that are happening on campus, provide academic integrity information, so information that's relevant to everyone at all stages of the degree. So that can be found there. And there's also a Social Work Students Association, and I think there might be information about that on the flow site as well.
FUSA, yeah. So FUSA, F-U-S-A, is a student association.